Do you like your coaches? Who are your coaches? The voices in your head that basically run the show for your life, the ones who tell you who to choose, what to choose, and why to choose it. Do you like your coaches? How do you know if you like your coaches? Are you happy with the person that you see in the mirror every single day? Do you like the relationships that you're in and the career path that you're going down? Do you enjoy that career path? If the answer to those questions is no, then this is your sign to get a new coach because clearly whoever's running the show for your life is not doing a great job. Hi, my name is Lucy. Welcome to my channel. Today we're discussing life coaches, alright? Life coaches, not in the ones that you actually book and go on the internet and pay someone else to coach you on how to live your life, but the voices that are in your head, the people who are running the show in your head, right? That's who we're talking about and how we're going to get ourselves new coaches. Again, if you don't like your coach, how do you know you don't like your coach? If you look at your life and you are not close to the goals that you have set for yourself, you're nowhere near to achieving the things that you want to achieve in this life, then that's your first sign that you don't like your coaches. You're not a fan of who it is that's running your life and they're not getting you to the desired results that you want with your life. And what do you do when you encounter such a person? You have to let them go and get yourself a new coach. So think of an athlete. Athletes need different coaches to literally meet one goal. If an athlete says that they want to win a gold medal, you need a coach who's going to actually train you on how to, I don't know, if we're using gymnastics as an example, you need a coach who is skilled in the area of gymnastics so that they can give you the skills, the necessary skills and techniques to ensure that when you flip, how do you flip in a way where you're not going to get yourself hurt, but also you're going to reach that gold medal status. So you have that coach, and then you have a physical coach who's going to tell you, hey, you need to stretch, do strength training, mobility training, all the things and all the things, book your physio. You have that coach. And then you have another coach who is your dietitian. They're the ones who are going to tell you, okay, if you want to meet this goal of getting a gold medal, these are the foods that you need to eat. This is what you need to stay away from, the what, and the third. Fine. Then you have a coach for your mental. When on those days where, hey, you're down and out and you think that this goal is so unattainable, you need someone to literally talk to you. You need someone in your corner who's going to talk to you and let you know that, hey, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. You need all those different coaches because those different coaches play different roles in helping you achieve one goal, which is to win a gold medal. It's the same way with us in our lives and everything that's happening in your head, in your heart, and around you with the relationships you have. All these different people in your life, all these thoughts that you think, the way you relate to emotions, the way you relate to your rational self, all of it is supposed to communicate in a way where there's unison and we're all moving in a way where we want to achieve a certain goal. So I'm going to talk about three coaches that we have. You have your coach number one, which is your emotional brain. This coach does things based on emotions. So I am angry, therefore this is what I need to do. This coach is very much concerned with how you feel, putting you in a position where you feel good, you're happy, you're safe, everything. That's that coach. And then you have your second coach, which is your rational coach. This coach is the pros and cons coach. That's your rational side of the brain, where you literally weigh pros and cons of every single situation. This coach is where you find your discipline. This coach is goal oriented. And then you have another coach, your friends and your family. Coach number three is your friends, your family. These coaches are the coaches that will advise you, give you life advice, give you information and pointers, help you make decisions based on the version of you that they know. It's important to understand the version of you that they know, meaning this life coach, your third life coach, relationships, friends, whatever, if you are a daughter, same way like with parents will see you and they see you as a child. So when you come to them sometimes and you want to do big adult decisions, if your parent doesn't switch in their head to understand that, okay, you're going from being a child to now being an adult, your parent is going to give you life advice based on looking at you as their child, still a beginning that they have to protect, instead of understanding that, okay, but you're going into adulthood now and you're supposed to be able to make decisions and live a life that is well suited to you, So that's now the third coach. Third coach usually gives you advice and input on your life based on the version of you that they know, right? Now, with all these three voices, all these different voices that I'm going to talk about, these voices are supposed to operate the same way the coaches of a athlete would operate, where they are supposed to move in a way where they speak the same language, where they help you reach a specific goal. And most of the times, these coaches are not doing that. Hey, rational brain says that I want a six pack and this is what I need to do for me to get a six pack. But emotional brain is going to say, yes, that's my. Therefore, I'm not going to do that anymore. And you're like, so now your emotional brain is taking the wheel where your rational brain is supposed to take the wheel. All right? Because the important thing is that all these coaches have a say in your life and should have a say in your life. You just now need to learn who speaks when. You need to create boundaries with all these different coaches, right? Because all these coaches have a say in your life. They should have a say. If they didn't need to have a say, then they wouldn't be there. Hello. If your emotions were not valuable, you wouldn't have emotions, but clearly there is a value to it because at some point it is supposed to speak. So now you're supposed to create boundaries with your emotions. You're supposed to create boundaries with all these coaches. Let your emotions know that there's a time to feel, there's a time and place for you to speak. Let your rational brain know that there is a time and space for you to speak. And your friends and your family, same way. There's a time and a place for their voices to matter. You need to teach yourself that thing in here. You need to set certain boundaries and goals for all these different coaches. Same way with the athlete. An athlete has 4 or 5 different coaches for different reasons, and all these coaches literally stay in their lane. All of them know all of them know their job roles and why it is that they're here. That's why your dietitian is not going to tell you how to what flip you need to do and how you need to perform that flip, because why? Your dietitian is not your athletic coach. The two are very different and everyone knows their place. Same thing for this one. This one cannot do this one's job and this one can't do this one's job. It's the same thing in your head, in your brain. Your emotional brain cannot do what your rational brain is supposed to do, and your rational brain cannot do what your emotional brain is supposed to do. And your friends and your family are also not supposed to be doing things that require your voice, you and you alone's voice. Your friends and your family can't have a say in that. That coach cannot speak in a place where you yourself, your own voice, thoughts, and opinions is supposed to speak. So the trick with life is that we need to understand who gets to speak when. We need to draw boundaries with all these different coaches and give everyone their time to shine. So with these boundaries, right? You have to set boundaries now for your emotional brain. Boundaries are safe and acceptable ways to behave. So if you know that your emotions are there, they are signals for you to understand the desires that you want, what it is that you truly need. They are literally indicators for life. You need to treat your emotional brain to say, okay, this is your lane, and this is how now I allow you to have a voice. I allow you to have a voice in this area of my life because this is where it's safe for you to speak. This can be when you are assessing the relationships that you have with people. Do you feel fine? Is it fun? Is it safe? Is it something that, is this a relationship that helps you become the person that you're supposed to be? This is where now you rely on your emotions to say, okay, but when I'm around this person, I do feel safe. I feel like I can be my best self, my natural self. So as a result, you legit look at that person and assess, how are you emotionally around that person? And that will give you insight to know, okay, should I keep this person in my life or not? Because sometimes certain relationships, you cannot actually weigh them with your rational brain to say, okay, but this is what I can get from this person, because then you're not walking in love. You're just being rational about the situation, and that's not what love is. That's not what human relationships are supposed to be. It's not a thing of what can I get from you, what can't I get from you, what are the pros and cons of having this person in my life. But it's simply just an emotional thing to say, am I safe with this person? Can I be my true authentic self around this person? That's when you need the emotional coach. When I'm around this person, how does it feel? That's when you need your emotional coach, because then your emotional coach will let you know when it's time to also let certain people go, because then you'll stop feeling safe in that relationship, and then that lets you know that, oh, for the person that I am becoming, the person I'm transitioning into, I can't hang around so and so person. This is how you literally teach yourself, your emotional brain, that when this is your lane. Your lane is in the matter of my friendships, my relationships. The emotional coach is allowed to speak in so and so and so situation. Emotional coach is allowed to speak when I am deciding on what friends I should have. Emotional brain is also allowed to speak, I was going to say when I'm buying clothes, but yeah, sometimes I have to be rational. But emotional coach, you literally tell your emotional brain that this is where you are allowed to speak. How do you do this? It's as simple as, guys, just mindfulness. Be in your brain. When you are in certain situations, ask yourself, who has the right to speak in this, right? Fine. And then the same thing with your rational brain. If your rational brain is there to, your rational brain is the one that decides things based on pros and cons and is very disciplined and, basically makes no room for fun in your life, then you have to tell your rational brain that, okay, this is where you shine. You can't shine in my relationships because then things become transactional. So therefore, sharpen online. Shine in areas like finances. This is your time to shine, because then when it's time to set a budget, your rational brain is going to kick in and say, hey, we need this and the third. Shine when it shines. Shopping online. I'm done. um but yeah, you literally have to tell yourself, okay, when it comes to my health, if I want to live a healthier lifestyle, this is where the rational brain has to kick in that you're gonna go to the gym every single day. You want to lose weight, stop eating sugar. That's where you rely on your rational brain, where there's no compromises being made, pros and cons. This is the goal. You rely on your rational brain to your rational coach to get you to that goal. All right. So you give your rational brain to say, this is where you are allowed to operate in areas of finances, in areas of my health, and in whatever other areas. But my relationships, off zone, you can't go there. Right. And then you have your friends, right? Number three, the relational coach, right? Your friends, your family. You now need to understand, this one is so like nuanced, because you need to understand that those people, those coaches, if you don't like those coaches, then it means that there's a certain version of yourself that you've presented to these coaches that can't speak into your life. And part of it is your responsibility. If you don't like the advice that your friends give you, if you don't like the things that your friends have to say, you also have to look in the mirror and say, but what about me makes this person think that that is the appropriate thing to say to me? If you always go to your friends for advice and they never advise you in a way that you feel is so fitting to the person that you are, you must also understand, but have I shown this friend my true authentic self? Don't just go around saying, yeah, did you like, oh, friends are finished and the friends are bad. Understand, but also me as my responsibility as a friend. Have I presented my true self to my friend for them to be giving me advice that I feel is tangible and is something that I can actually use and implement in my life? With relational coaches, right, you have to understand that these relational coaches will really give you advice based on the version of you that they know. Meaning, if you want to settle down in life, you're not gonna go and talk to the friend who is living a bachelor lifestyle, or the friend that you do like chaotic things with, or the friend that you, again, maybe you were also into this like bachelor lifestyle. You're not gonna now talk to that friend who that's what you guys had in common, and now you're gonna go to them and say, hey, I want to settle down. Because what this friend is probably gonna tell you is like, wait, nah, settle down. You who has a roster every 5 days. You have a roster for 5 people that you are talking to. Every day is Tim, John, Jim, and Ham, and Chef. Every day you're talking to a different person. Oh, and now you want to settle down. And when this coach now talks to you, you think that, no, man, I think I'll be able to do this thing of living a life committed to one person. You're going to talk to this one who knows that you have a roster, and they're going to say to you, you who has a roster, you think that you can commit to one person. That person has now made you rethink the whole thing of like settling down, to be like, hey, but will I even be able to can? And the evidence that they'll be able to give you is evidence that you won't be able to, because why? The relationship that you have with this person, the association that you have with this person, is that we live a bachelorette lifestyle. We live life, love, change the men, jingle and the pen. That's the lifestyle that we live. So of course they're not going to be able to see you settling down, because hi, you've never introduced them to that side of you. Versus if you go and talk to a colleague, perhaps, and you say to your colleague that, hey, I'm thinking of settling down, your colleague might just say something different to you, because they're like, I see this for you because number one, you're committed, you're driven, you're this, and the third. Like, you have this leadership quality in you, everything, and the third. And your colleague will now be able to speak life into that area of your life, because you will now, oh, I got distracted. That Gogo just threw a ball over. Sham, these boys are playing with their ball. Oh, she threw it to the wrong. Oh no, she threw it to the right house. But yeah, those boys were looking for their ball all along. That Gogo just threw it over. Cute. so distracted. Your colleague will now be able to speak life into you wanting to settle down because they've seen the qualities and characteristics that are required for one to like have a stable relationship in you. Might not have been in the fact that you're committed to one relationship, but the mere fact that you can commit to your work. You are a leader at work, meaning that there is raw materials there where we can just transfer that work leadership into now, or head of a household, things like that, that's why like it literally matters like who it is that you talk to and what it is that you talk to them about. When it comes to coach number three, coach haram number three, you have to be so careful about who you talk to about what, and also understand you as a chom, what version of you have you presented to these people, um what version of you have you presented to these people for them to be giving you the opinions that they are giving you. And then going forward, you understand that if this friend and I speak about life but from this perspective only, then really truly, yes, experiment, explore, and say, can I introduce this new like sphere of, I don't know, whatever in a relationship. And if the answer is no, because you don't like how they responded, or with their response you can just see that I this person and I don't view finances the same way, then you know that okay, within this relationship, this friendship that I have, finances is a topic that should not be put on the table, because lona uzong advice some way somehow, so things like that, when now you legit assess which coach is relevant for what area of my life. If coach number one is your emotional brain, then coach number one should be the one steering the steering the wheel when it comes to what do you determine to be fun, what are experiences that are painful. That's coach number one. And coach number two, your rational brain, that's the one who's supposed to be setting up your budgets and whatever. And then coach number three is just, everyday companion life, everything. But you don't allow coach number three sometimes to weigh heavily on what's happening in things that require rationality. Because again, if you want to settle down and you talk to a friend who's not about the settling down lifestyle, do you see which coach is speaking to you right there and there? Like, that's not the friend for the job. Literally not the friend for the job. So yes, we've spoken about like boundaries that you need to make for each coach, but now how do you put those boundaries in place? How do you know if those boundaries even exist? Number one, you have to assess your goals. Now look at your goals in life. Look at, maybe just take three goals, right? We look at these three goals and we ask ourselves, okay, if my identity goal was that I would love to be healthier, you now go and assess, am I healthier? Am I closer to being healthier, or am I far back? Am I way there at the back with that goal of being healthy? You assess your goal. How far are you tracking with that goal? If you are so far from being healthy, then you ask yourself, okay, I'm nowhere being healthy, and not perfection state of being healthy, but just like, if healthy is here and I am here, why is that? And then you go and see, okay, these are the things that, obviously, these are the systems that I put in place to make sure that I reach this goal of being healthier. You now assess, why haven't I been healthy? Then you see that every time that you want to go to the gym, you're like, oh, I'm too tired. You now go and like literally understand, why did I make those certain decisions where I was not supposed to eat sugar? Why did I eat sugar? You'll find that the coach that is speaking to you at that time is your emotional coach. You don't go to the gym because you were tired. That has to do with how you're feeling. And now you need to now understand that, okay, if my goal is health, emotional brain can't necessarily speak to that, because yeah, I need my rational brain. I can't now say that, oh, I'm tired, I'm not gonna go to the gym. 90% of the time, there's that 10% of the time where you need to like, make room for other coaches to speak. But 90% of the time, if the reason why you never went to the gym is because you're tired, or you're too lazy, or you just don't feel like it, then you know that in a position where, when it comes to your identity, when it comes to the goal of being healthier, you're supposed to be letting your rational brain talk in this area of your life. However, your emotional brain is the one that's been doing the speaking, and that's why you're not reaching that goal. That's why you still look like a Oompa Loompa, because you're not listening to your rational brain who says, get up, this is the goal. Get up. Sitting on the couch is not going to help you achieve that goal, maybe, okay, you set up the business, but you're so exhausted. You've chased that goal in terms of, I want to build this business, but at the cost of that was exhaustion, and now you're burnt out. Then it means that, okay, if I have now built this business, but now I'm at the top of I'm suffering from burnout, I am I'm suffering from burnout, I'm exhausted, mentally I'm not okay, I'm always stressed, then you need to understand that, oh, there was some times where I was supposed to give my emotional brain a say and I didn't. When were those times? When you were tired and you didn't rest. That's what your emotional brain is there for. It's supposed to hold hands, like, and like all these coaches are supposed to hold hands like this to help you reach one goal and to reach that goal successfully. Because if you are now wanting to build an empire, part of building that empire is that you're gonna have to rest, you're gonna have to sleep. But now if you listen solely to your rational brain and achieving that goal, then you're burnt out, you're super stressed, you can't sleep, everything. And the reason is because you've let your rational brain steer the ship for so long that you didn't actually listen to what your body needs and when it needs it. Your body was tired, and instead of resting, you just drank a Red Bull. And you wonder why you wonder why you have heart palpitations and why your heart is failing. You're wondering, asking yourself, scratching your head. But it was right there. When your emotional coach was talking to you to say, hey, my babes, you're pushing a little too hard and I'm tired, go rest. You didn't, because the rational brain is the one that's taking too much of the steering wheel. So that's what you do. You assess your goals and then you track, how far am I to achieving these goals? If the goal is here, am I here? Am I here? Am I here? And why is that? If I am here and the reason is because I've allowed my emotional coach to speak to me regarding my finances, then it means that the emotional coach needs to now take a back seat. And anytime you want to buy something out of, woo, I just feel like spending money, you have to let that rational brain come in and say, yay. But that's not the goal. You know, that's literally what you do. You design a system where everyone has a say because everyone is designed to have a say. The goal is not to silence all these coaches. The goal is not to say, I'm not going to listen to my emotions. Hi, emotions were given to you for a reason. Dig into why they were given to you, right? Rationality is there for a reason. Tap into it. You know, relationships there are for a reason. Tap into why they are there. So the goal is not to say silence all these coaches or silence emotions, rationality. No, the goal is to make sure that all these different coaches work in unison to help you reach one goal, to live the life it is that you want to live. And now you just have to literally get into a place where you set boundaries for all these different goals. If you have a goal and you have not gotten to that goal, assess who has taken the steering wheel of that goal and see, but where has that gotten me? Where? If it's gotten you nowhere, change your coach. Give the steering wheel to another person. Jesus, take the wheel. It's that simple. That's what it is that you need to do. Literally give the steering wheel to another person. Give your steering wheel to a different coach, because that coach is clearly not helping you achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Another thing I wanted to say, when establishing boundaries with your goals, now, when it comes to like people and coaches, man, there's this weird thing where it's like there's a relational aspect to it where like your dietitian is going to recommend, your dietitian knows the facts. The facts is that if you want to be a better athlete, you're going to have to eat a lot more carbs because you need energy, and you're going to have to be high on proteins because you need the muscle support and what dot dot dot. Your coach knows the facts to say that if you want to achieve this goal, this is what you need to do. But your coach also knows you on a personal level. This is where they ask, okay, your lifestyle habits, what does your lifestyle look like? So that with these facts, they can now prescribe a way for you to say, this is how you do it, right? If you, I don't know, you don't like eating chicken, you don't like eating veggies, this is where now your dietitian's gonna understand that, okay, but you need these certain veggies. So you need these certain veggies, but you don't like eating them. Therefore, I'm gonna put them in a smoothie, or I'm gonna put it in a cream, or I'm gonna find a way to cook it in a way where you're not gonna know that this is the veggie that you're eating because your coach knows you personally. It's become a personal thing. It's the same thing with you. If you know that you're a splurger and your reward system is that you get to splurge on something, now, when it comes to your finances, you allowing your rational brain to take the wheel, great. But now there's a certain emotional tie that you've made to money where you get to reward yourself. So what do? If you know that you like splurging, splurging makes you feel good, you literally set a budget aside for splurging, and then both parts of your brains are satisfied where you know what it is to do and you also know how you should do it. You know, the thing is that you don't want to go over budget, but you also know that you like to splurge. So literally in your budgeting, you account for the splurging and you tell yourself that, yay, I'm going to satisfy an emotional need, which is to splurge, but my splurging budget is only 50 rand. So meaning anything I want to buy that's above 50 rand, I can't do this. But then you get to splurge on yourself with that 50 rand. You get to use that to splurge on yourself. So that's how you do it. Understand that thin line, that thread where you understand that, okay, there's times where your emotional and rational brain are both going to take the wheels, and you act accordingly, you move accordingly, where you find a way to make sure that both are satisfied, and both are satisfied when you know what it is you need to do, and how you specifically are able to carry that specific action out. Because what works for me is not going to work for you. So now you need to find a balance to say, okay, your boundaries here and this is your boundary, and understand who it is that you are and how it is that you operate, so that you know who should take the steering wheel when. And is it a two-man job where two people need to take the steering wheel, but one is like 60-40, or is it a 90-10 thing, that type of situation. And then boom, Bob's your uncle. That is it from me. Until the next time you see my gorgeous face on your screen. Bye.